this computer. Okay. Okay, we're recording. We're live. Let's do this. It starts right now. Let's review. Setting up documents happening here, rooms for signature. Okay, so that's what we're going for. Okay, so far we've covered contacts at your database. Database is the most important thing basically that you have. When your database raises their hand, says they're interested, then you create an opportunity, right? We're on the same page here. Once your person gets to the point in his opportunity to sign paperwork, that's where this class comes in. Let's talk about getting things signed. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the first 5 minutes and set up your DocuSign. So in settings, we're going to go into settings. We're going to go to DocuSign right here, and you're going to click on Connect Account. If you are not connected, then I'm literally going to just stand here and wait, because everything we do from this point on is impossible to do. Rich, welcome. I don't waste any time. No, we've got an itinerary here, Rich. So right now we're setting up DocuSign. So this is the most important thing we do in this class. Okay, Rich is good. Wait, you set yours up in Command? Okay. All right, we've got Rich, Tristan. Now, as you're going through and setting that up, it's going to ask you questions to verify certain things. So you're going to have to make sure you go through that. I'll wait until 1:08 before I move on. So if you're on Zoom, that's what we're doing. We're setting up our DocuSign. Again, you click on your name here, go into settings, go into DocuSign, and you're going to connect your account. If this button right here does not say connected, then you did not. But everybody should at least be checking that. We've got Hunter and Jared and Lisi. Let me know when you're getting signed up. Jared, how are we doing?
I got the email
Okay.
and then I accept the invite.
Yep. Accept the invite. You have to accept like multiple different things, and then eventually and accept it there as well. How do we change our email? Yeah, in things in DocuSign, change your email. Set up your DocuSign. Okay. Yep, so accept Mason here. Password. Hopefully we'll be walking in just a second and get him set up too. So this class will run just a little bit late today because we've got a couple stragglers, namely Brett. We love Brett. We'll help him get set. But also, come on, Brett. Can't be late.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah?
Just so you know, mine's already set up as well. And so is Brett's. We did his a couple days ago.
Oh, okay. Perfect. All right.
Yeah, so we're good.
So we're good. Okay, Mason, you good? Remember, if it doesn't say connected here, then you are not set. Jared, how you doing? Good?
So I accepted it on my phone and like put in my password and everything, but I can't get it to say connected on my computer.
Are you using Chrome?
Safari.
Yeah, so that's why. Safari is going to block that pop-up. Anytime you use Command, you're going to have to use Chrome.
Okay.
Basically, when you're in Chrome, you're going to see a little button right here that says accept. You're going to click that button, and it's going to pop up a little pop-up that has another liability something. I mean, like, I've read through it once. It asks for, like, your firstborn son or something, like, small things. So don't stress about it. No one thought that was funny. I got a smirk from Brett. Thanks, Brett. Let's see here. Do I have everybody's name on the roll? Rich, Tristan, Mason, Hunter, Jared, Lisi, Brett. Okay, we're good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're moving forward. Jared, how you doing? You good?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so then let's talk about the difference between rooms and e-signature. So I'm going to tell you a story. Everybody sit back, take a nap. Just going to take a nap. I'll throw something at you. But we're going to tell a story. Once upon a time, there was a company called Dotloop. Was anybody here when we were using Dotloop, or is that an old thing?
Yeah, I use Dotloop.
You see, the old time.
Yeah.
So once upon a time, we had a deal with Dotloop, and it was going great. And then Dotloop is owned by, anybody know who Dotloop's owned by? Zillow, which is like our direct competitor who's trying to drive out agents. So Zillow wanted to use all of the information that goes through that transaction management software to benefit themselves. And we didn't want that. So we said, look, we'll keep working and using your software and paying you if you sign an NDA. And they wouldn't do it. And so we split ways and we went with the next top company, which is DocuSign. And that was very recent. This all went down like September of last year. And so DocuSign is pretty new. But the bonus of it is that when we were integrating e-signature software, it was about that time before we even did any integrations. We were able to integrate DocuSign instead of Loop and get the disclosures we want. This is why that you can confidently say to your clients that their information is safe, because we have covered our butt legally with keeping their information safe. So we use DocuSign, and we love DocuSign. We paid them a bunch of money to get access to their company. But there's something that's really important to understand here. Let me get rid of this. So rooms versus e-signatures. When you log into DocuSign, there's two versions of DocuSign. So I'm going to draw them here. This is called e-signature. Wow, it's bad handwriting. Oh well. And this is called rooms. This version is the one that most agents have. It's very basic. If you DocuSign.com, so let's do that right now. If I log into here, I go to DocuSign.com. I log in. It asks me for my username, which is my email. And it asks me for my password, which is password with a capital P. Wait, just kidding. It's not. Then it will take me into e-signature, which is DocuSign's regular shenanigan. Whatever. Give it an hour. It'll load. Come on now. Really? There we go. So this is e-signature. Basically, you can get a new a new envelope going here, or just sign a single document. You can create templates. Like this is this is what DocuSign looks like. This is not the DocuSign you're going to use. Let me repeat that. You are not going to log into DocuSign.com and get documents signed. Okay? Feel good? As rooms, basically, we took a copy of their software. We were able to take a copy, paste it into our software, and be able to manipulate a little bit so that we can integrate it with command. Does that make sense? So things like your contacts information will automatically transfer into DocuSign. Little things like that. That's because we paid them a crap load of money and they let us copy and paste their software so that we can mess with it, basically. Any questions on that? So this is what you're going to do. Commissions, because it won't make a difference here. So if I go into the opportunity that I made yesterday, which is this, sure. I make so many fake opportunities. I got to start getting rid of these. If I go into documents, nope, not that one. Oh. Documents, right here, it's going to say start transaction. And that is going to do a little magical elf. Oh, just kidding. It's going to magically connect DocuSign to command. That's the trigger. That's the button you have to push, or you're going to screw up your life. Does that make sense? Start transaction. Once you click it, it's going to have you log into DocuSign. It will take you into the room. But if you don't use that button, you're going to screw up your life. Everybody understand? Any questions? Okay. Let's talk about what a room is. So let's just go to this. If I go to let's go to transaction on mine now because I've already started it. So after you click start transaction, it will always say go to transaction from then on. Okay. So I log into DocuSign, Josh at KW Westfield. And it should just automatically log in because I'm logged in on the other. This is rooms. So basically, I've got this big room with all the documents I might need in here. And yeah, I'm gonna walk through all of this in just a second, but this is a room. Think of it as a storage room. This is where you're gonna store all of your documents, whether it's the plat map or the CC&Rs or the addendum or the REPC or the wire fraud or whatever it is. Even if it doesn't need to be signed, I would recommend storing it here first and then bringing the finished versions into Command. Okay? Yeah, I'll show you how to bring it into Command in a little bit, but that's kind of the mindset. Yeah, I'll show you how to bring documents in here. Mostly I'm just thinking like on a high level understanding here. That's what you do first. You create the room, and the purpose of the room is to hold everything, basically. Okay? Any questions up to this point before I dive into managing the room and going through it? Okay, let me show you a quick trick. In the future, it's not going to be easy. Well, it's going to be easier to log into DocuSign.com. Because like, let's just think through how we got to this point. We had to log into Command. We had to go into our opportunities. We had to find our opportunity. We had to click on Documents. Then we had to click on Go to Transaction. And then we had to log into DocuSign. It's a lot of steps just to get documents signed in the future, right? We want to avoid that. So if you go to DocuSign.com, you're not a sinner. Like, and there's a button up here on the top right that says Switch to Rooms. So you can switch to rooms and manage your rooms here. But remember, you have to create the room first in Command. Otherwise, it won't show up. Okay? Understand the order of operations? Feel good? All right, we're cruising. Hey, if you're on Zoom and I'm going too fast or you hate how I talk, then just let me know. So, okay. So the first thing you ever do in a room is you fill out the Details tab. This is step one. It's basically order of operations. So if you look here, we've got Details, then Documents, then Envelopes. Those are the steps, basically, that you're going to use. You're not going to really ever use People. You'll probably not use this very much. But these three in order are step by step. And remember, well, don't remember, you should know that the room will default to Documents. Like, it will take you to Documents first, no matter what, even if you don't have anything in here. But Details is where you want to start, always. Always start in Details. Because it will save the people in your transaction, so you don't have to keep putting in emails and stuff. Does that make sense? I'm going to fill out that background stuff first. So then I can click on Edit, and on the right-hand side here, I'm going to fill in everybody's information. So we've got Seller 1. Buyer's agent information and their email, so their name and email. I need to know my seller's information, so their name and email. My information is already going to be in the room no matter what I do. Is there anybody that's involved in a listing? Put in here. Who do you email documents to in a listing? Lenders. Good point. Except as a seller, though, you usually don't deal with a lender, right? But title. right? So it's off that same point, I could put title person. I'm really creative with my names here. And then my email would be title@title.com. Right? So you're just putting all the information of everybody that's involved with the transaction that you might need to send documents to. So let's pretend like we're a buyer. Who would be involved in the transaction if you're a buyer? If you're a buyer's agent, loan officer, okay? Title company? Who? No, because the lending will take care of the appraiser, right? Who else? Your buyer, right? What about the seller? Well, yes and no. It's a trick question. You don't put the seller because you put the seller's agent, right? We, as the buyer agent, we don't reach out to the seller usually. We reach out to the seller's agent because they're usually represented, unless it's a FSBO, obviously. Does that make sense? You're just going to put your list in here on the right-hand side. Everything on the left-hand side is kind of pointless to fill out because it's done in opportunities, right? So don't worry about that.
So if I'm in here, I've got a buyer in here.
Okay.
What do I put?
So the question was, I've got a buyer in here. What do I put?
I had an opportunity.
So you're going to find and make sure that it's not filled in. So scroll down and you're looking at these tags because it will bring over information from the opportunity. So seller one, it'll go seller one, seller two, seller agent one, seller agent two, or listing agent one, listing agent two, and then buyer one. It's already filled in. Yep. So then you don't need to put anything there. So you just need to make sure that you have everybody that is involved in the transactions information in there on that right-hand side. Okay. All right. So then the next step is save. Look at this little button. Everybody take a look at this little button because if you don't hit that button, you're going to hate your life. Then you have to go back and do it again. Make sure you save. We're not dealing with Google Docs. You're going to have to save things as you go. Okay. All right. Documents. Now we can start managing our documents. And managing your documents in here is super easy. First of all, when I have a document I don't want, so let's say I want to get rid of all these, I can hover over them and a little ball pops up. I can click on that ball and I can go over here and hit archive. Now they're gone. Now they're not really gone because up here, the filter is on active documents. I can switch. I can see all documents or just my archive documents. But let's just go to active. So I don't have any PDFs in there. So if I'm on my desktop, I can just drag and drop this in. That's one way to do it. I can click on add. I can go to my computer and I can sort through. That's another way. Right? It's pretty straightforward getting your documents in here. Any questions on that?
Let me ask you something. In my case,
Okay.
it's real. Someone called me yesterday. If I want to send them a BBA, I do that through the MLS, right? I mean,
No.
that's where I get the document.
Yeah. Yep.
And then maybe I'm jumping ahead.
No, you're fine. So
Put that into DocuSign.
I'm going to walk through that whole thing in just a second. But your question was, if I have, in a real life example, I have someone that needs to sign a buyer broker, I pull the document itself from the MLS, right? And the answer is yes. You pull the document from the MLS, you can save it to your desktop. You can even email it to your DocuSign room. I don't show that in here. If you want to stay after, I can show you guys how to do that. But the easiest way is you save it to your desktop, you just drag and drop it in. And then you can get it signed in how I'll show you in just a sec. Any other questions about this? So let's pull in 2 documents here. We'll throw this in there. I don't know what that is. These are probably not even real estate related, but they're PDFs. Quick note, if they're not a PDF, you can get it signed. So make sure it's a PDF. It's not like an image or like a Word doc or something, which is super rare for that to come because usually you just pull it from the MLS anyway, and the MLS, it'll automatically be a PDF. So. All right. Okay. So while I'm in here as well, I can open a document and I can edit it. So I can edit, split, move, copy. I can do all these different things when I have this document open. Let me show you the split function really quick. It's super, super functional. So I would put the name of each document I want to split it into up here. First document. Right, so then for the first 5 pages, I would click on, so notice how it zooms in, because it's hard to read when it's way out there. But when I hover in, then I can suddenly see, okay, declaration of covenants, conditions, and I don't even know what this document is. It's something. But that's the first 5 pages. Then I'll go down here and select the next 5 pages, and I can just keep going on like that, right? Then when I save, it will save each of these documents that I have on the left-hand side separately, and it will keep the original with all of them combined. Does that make sense? Yeah, so the question, why are you splitting the question? The document, so let's talk about an example when you would do that. A lot of times when you're a seller, a buyer will send you all the documents in one group, right? It's a long PDF with the REPC, an addendum to the REPC, their letter of being pre-qualified, right? So on and so forth. And it's all one big document. So you have to split that up into what each of them are. So that's how you would do that. Does that make sense? And that's where this hover option really comes into handy, because I can then hover on and be like, okay, where does the REPC end? Oh, it's right here. Perfect. Okay, so then this must be the addendum, so on and so forth, right? Like, again, I'm just showing a garbage example with this random document. I don't even know what it is, but anyway. Any questions? Feel good? Okay. All right. Where are we at? 20 minutes in. We're at 25. Okay. Now talk about envelopes. Okay. So you have your documents in your room. Now you need to get them signed, right? So I'm going to click on the document. I'm going to check it. And I'm going to click on DocuSign here. Pretty straightforward, right? Now what just happened? Envelope opened up. So an envelope, basically think of an envelope as like an email. If I go back here, I hit save and close. In my envelopes, I've got 2 drafts here. This is the one I taught in the last time I taught this class. But right here is our new one that we just made. Basically, I'm just creating an email of all these documents I want to send out. And in the email, I'm going to put the signatures where I want them. I'm going to figure out who I'm sending to, when I'm sending to them, so on and so forth. Made an envelope for me. The other option is to just go into new in envelopes and be created here. But then you have documents. Does that make sense? So we're going to delete that because we don't want it. Any questions up to this point about what an envelope is? I'll go into a little bit more depth to make it make more sense, but just think of it as an email. Remember the old days where you'd bring in like an envelope and it'd have all these documents in it? You know, in the 60s, the 1860s. Just kidding. That's how it feels, though. Okay. So you've got a document here. Your envelope name is just for your reference. This is just remembering what the envelope was for. So we'll pretend like this is a REPC. So I'm going to name it REPC. Actually, I should just do, would it be helpful if I went into the MLS and just went straight through it, like pulled out a REPC, put it into DocuSign, and then got it signed straight through? Do you feel like that would be helpful? Okay, let's do that. Because I'm using these random documents that aren't going to help you. So, okay, we're going to go back a step here. Okay, so scenario, you need to get do you want to do a buyer broker or a REPC? Buyer broker, okay. Scenario, you want to get a buyer broker signed. Ooh. Ooh. Strike two. Got one more. Ha. Okay, so if I go into forms, I can look up, what is the buyer, the broker, exclusive, and there we go. Designated agency is the one that we use. This top right corner. So when you're pulling any document from the MLS, that's what you do. In the MLS, let me just show you this really quick. In the MLS, I can go through, like this is showing. How do I get rid of this? There we go. I can populate it with this little box, or I can just go through and fill out each one of these one by one, right? Someone had all this stuff in here. So whatever. So yeah, there you go. I threw in some stuff in there. So then I can hit print. And then you'll notice that it will space accordingly, like this. You couldn't even read the whole thing, but now it spaces it accordingly how I need it to. So now I can hit download. It'll save it as a PDF. There it is right there. I can hit exit. I can go back to my documents. I can drag it in. Pretty straightforward, right? So that's pulling it from the MLS. Then I can go here and hit DocuSign, like I said. So now we're creating an envelope. So I'm going to name the envelope the buyer broker, because that you're actually doing, or whatever the document's name is. So if you have a Rep C, an addendum, and another addendum, you would name it Rep C, addendum 1, and addendum 2, right? Now, this is all preference. You don't have to do that, but that's, in my opinion, best practice, because then you don't get confused. Anyway, so I've got my document in here. Now I can add recipients. So I can go into my room participants, and because I saved all these people in here, I can say, okay, so it's a buyer broker, so the buyer needs to sign and the agent needs to sign, and that's it. Right? If I had more than one buyer, I'd need both of them in there. Really quick, by the way, we have made multiple templates as a brokerage, which automatically save the signatures, the signature boxes, the initial boxes, all the autofill stuff. It's already done for you for multiple like documents that take a long time to do. An example of that is like a disclosure, property condition disclosure, right? So if you go into use a template shared with me, that's where all those are. Let me look at that with you after, okay? Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, so the question was, back a step, I uploaded the document into my room. What do I do next to get it to the point that you're at? You're gonna click on the top left of your document. It's gonna have a little bubble. And then you're gonna click on DocuSign, the little pen on the top once it's selected. So if I hit save and close, documents, here's the bubble, here's the pen. And then it will bring you to this point. Okay, so we've got our document, we've got our people in here. Now for the email subject, this is what your people are going to see. They're gonna see the email, so you can put a message in there. In my opinion, it's not really worth it to put a message. This is really the world according to Josh. So we're gonna take off Josh, Director of Agent Services hat. We're gonna put on Josh, the lazy bum hat, because in my opinion, you're gonna text your people anyway. Like, hey, I'm gonna send you the buyer broker, make sure you get it signed, and then you send it. So if you put buyer broker on there in a description, like you can do that, but I don't know if it's really necessary, because ideally you're texting your people anyway, telling them what you're sending or calling them, right? So whatever you want to do there is great. I'm going to hit next, and then it's going to bring me to where I need to get things signed. So when I'm in here, I've got to start filling in these boxes here, right? Ideally, all of this would be filled out, so I wouldn't have these blanks. That's what you should be doing in the MLS, but not these. So initial, date signed. See how I'm just doing that? I just click up here. If I need a signature, I can just place it there. A quick note, these little lines are where the bottom of the initial will go, and the arrow is where the initial will start. Does that make sense? So another cool thing is I can highlight these. I can hit copy. I can go down here and hit paste, and it pastes it in the same spot. And that's super helpful for a lot of documents because most documents have these in the same spot on all the pages, right? Like the REPSI, for example, it's a 6-page document and there's a signature and date signed on every single page. So you might as well just copy and paste them all the way down. And then I'm down here, I need the buyer's signature. Well, let me do this first. I need the agent's signature. So notice how on the top left, I'm switching between the buyer and the agent because 2 people need to sign this document. So I'm the agent. I'm going to sign right here. And I'm going to date this. And then the buyer needs to sign here. And they need to date here. Oh, good. You caught me. Okay, what did I do wrong besides Rich? I put the agent where the buyer is supposed to be. So if I highlight both of these, I can switch it back to the buyer's agent. See that? So when that crap hits the fan, and you are filling out these documents and you've done the whole thing and you're like, oh shoot, I did the same person throughout the whole thing. You can go back and just, you don't have to delete them and put new ones on. You can just change the person signing. Again, if I highlight something, it gives me all of these options on this right-hand side. I can even change like the date label, the location, things like that. Yeah. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. So the question, would the agent sign this now? Yes. This is probably one of the most commonly missed signatures in all of real estate transactions. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So Rich was just telling me how he missed it. So that's the reason why I do this now. Like whenever you get a document signed, the first time, make sure that you have everybody that needs to sign it on that list because otherwise you'll forget, basically. So let's talk about how this is really cool. So if I'm good with this, I can send it. But let's go back really quick to here. I've got 2 people signing, but I could change this up a little bit. So let's say, for example, that this is not a buyer broker. Let's say that this is a REPSI, okay? And I need to send it to the seller agent. So I can go into here, I can go into room participants, I can put Josh Seller, and I could change these numbers. So in this scenario, we'll just pretend like this is buyer number 2. So we'll have on the left-hand side here is order of operations. So I've got 1, 1, and then I can change this to 2. And the way that this will work is it will send to the buyer's agent and to the buyer. Sorry, this is supposed to be buyer, not buyer agent. It'll send to buyer 1 and buyer 2, and they both need to sign. And then after it's done being signed, which is where number 2 comes into play, it will send to Josh, the seller agent. And he doesn't need to sign. He just needs a copy. Does that make sense? This is a REPSI, right? This is huge. Let this sink in because you can do so much customization with this. Receives a copy, you can add a private note that says, hey, Josh, here's our offer. And I can throw in our letter being pre-qualified, our letter of introduction. I can throw in any addendum I need on the same envelope and send everything to my buyers, and it will automatically be sent to the seller. If I'm the seller, I can send it to my, if I'm the seller agent, I can send it to my sellers to accept the automatically to lending, title, the buyer agent. Does that make sense? And then it saves you all of that time, so you don't have to set up that organization later. You don't have to forward this document to all these different people later that you're going to have to forward anyway. Yeah, the question was, seller agent receive that copy once they're signed? And the answer is yes. That's the order of operations come in. That's where these numbers make all the difference, because 2 won't happen until 1 is all the way completed. Does that make sense? Yes. So you would fill that out according to the order that you need it to be. So let's go back to because we don't have a rep C in here, we have a buyer broker. So let's go back to that. Let's say that this is a buyer agent again, right? I would probably make this 2, because I would want my buyer to sign it first, or maybe I would make myself 1 so I can look over the document, make sure everything looks good one last time, and then make my buyer number 2 and have it send to him after I've signed it to make sure that it's signed by me before anybody else has to deal with it. Does that make sense? That's good. Yep. Yep, exactly. So it'd be buyer agent signs first, and then the buyer signs, and it'll automatically flip the order. Pretty cool, right?
Let me ask you just a quick question, and maybe this is for after.
Okay.
My wife knows this, but she was always getting, she was at DC, she was always getting emails like DocuSign.
Uh-huh.
What app do I get for that?
So the question was, how do I get the notifications that people have signed, right? It will automatically go to whatever email you signed up on DocuSign. Yeah, it's just email. Yeah, I think there is a DocuSign app. It's not incredibly functional, so don't worry about it. Yeah. In fact, if you're going to use your phone, I would go to rooms.docusign.com. I need to add that on here, actually. Rooms.docusign. This is going to save your life, I'm telling you. Don't forget this. If you go to DocuSign.com on your phone, it's less functional than rooms.docusign.com. This is like basically an app. It's basically the same structure as using an app, but you just do it on your Google or Safari or whatever you're using, right? So that's a really good website, rooms.docusign.com. Okay, any questions up to this point? Okay, so then we'd click send, and that's it. They would receive the documents. I mean, I'm not going to click send, but they would receive the documents. They would sign them. Once they're signed, let's go back to something that's been signed. So if I go back to my dashboard and I go into a room that's actually been signed. Oh, let me go back here really quick. When you log into DocuSign.com and you switch to rooms, it's going to take you here. So this is just where all of your rooms are stored. So if I click on rooms, here's all of the rooms from the different transactions that are in my command, right? And so I can click on, notice how like almost all these are fake. I can click on this one though, which is actually a real room. And I can go into documents. And you're going to notice in here, the green check mark. The green check mark means that this document has been signed. Green check mark, green check mark. You're going to get these back, and you're going to keep the original in your DocuSign. DocuSign does not delete documents. And that's for mostly legal purposes, right? It wants to be safe. And then if I scroll down here, actually, let me go to archived. There's got to be one in here. Yeah, right here. Everybody see this? This is called a certification. Every time you get a document signed, let me just bring it up. It's going to send you automatically a certification that looks like this. That basically says this legitimately signed by this person of this email address. The only use you're ever going to have on this is if you get sued. So basically zero, because even when you get sued, I say win, because if you're in this industry for 5 years or more, you will probably at least get threatened to be sued. Just have that expectation at some point in your life. Doesn't matter how you run your business. So this will just be in the room. You can archive it. It's mostly for Dean, but we had something when he has to go to court or something. Okay? Any questions? All right, guys, that's it. Adding to command. Wow, we did good. We're 2 minutes early. Was that too fast? Was that good pace? Good for you. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm in Q&A. Shoot me your questions.
So I'm in my document, this wire broker.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the option to use template. I click that. I have one.
So click on shared with me. With me. Huh. Was yours showing the same thing, Rich? It only had KW 2020 pre-listing.
Yeah, yeah, it was something. Yeah. See.
Templates. I think Dean just changed that because you saw that was 9.2. So I wonder if he changed that like yesterday, because Dean has the back end access for that. I wonder if he took some stuff off. I'll have to talk to him. Let me check that.
It's like, see, if you click on share, then
Is it a template? Ooh. San Diego. Yeah. Well, I worked for an MLM company and did all of their Spanish work for like 2 years, and that helped me a lot.
same thing.
Really?
2023 listing.
There you go. Okay, that's good to know.
What is this pre-listing mean?
I have no idea. I need to talk to Dean about that. Okay, so share with me doesn't work. That's the summary. Thanks for coming, guys. Guess we're screwed. Life's over. Get out while you still can. Yep. No, I'll fix that. It's mostly for like those higher level documents. Well, not even higher level, like the really long documents that come later in the transaction anyway. Do you have a listing coming up right now? I did too.
It's crazy. I said, just call me from California. And at the end of our conversation, I said, how did you find out about me? Curious. He either said I Googled or Facebook agents in Utah. Your picture looked, you look honest. Okay.
Yeah, you want to know what the number one thing people look at for agents, for picking an agent? It's not competency. It's not experience. It's trustworthiness. It's number one. KW does research every single year for hundreds of thousands of people, and every year it's the same thing. I want to know if they're going to be loyal and trustworthy to me. They don't care about expertise. They just care about if you're a good person. Yep. Now, again, let me rephrase that. They do care about those things. That's number two. Number two is expertise and knowledge of the industry, right? But number one isn't. So that's a big deal. When people write their bios, I always tell them, like, write about your values. What's important to you? Because that's what people will call you off of. Are you a family-oriented person? Do you care about treating people right? What are your, maybe even throw in a couple minor political things. Like, I'm passionate about blank, you know. If you want to get really specific with what people call you, then you can put things like that, right? But people care more about, like, the type of person you are than how long you've been in the industry. Because there's so many agents out there that have 5+ years experience. They don't care. Okay. I love referrals.
Shelley Robinson.
First, really quick. Look like? Anna is making more than 15 or 20 deals a year, then they're good spot. So I think